Honorable Thomas Gambke, thank you for joining us here at the ICT and for your keynote speech. Me and my colleagues here would like to ask you some questions regarding some and thoughts and opinions on some salient issues. The first question is, what would be your definition of cultural diplomacy? And as you have a very international career, in which ways has it helped you earlier and how it's useful today in your profession as a parliament member?
Well, hopefully you will agree that I just let you know cultural diplomacy from my perspective, which is basically as being a manager of an international company for a long time. I think it is the most important thing in terms of cultural diplomacy is actually to listen, to be able to listen. I worked quite some while in Asia, and I must say I have very, very good friends there. For instance, when I lived in Japan and I left after 2 years, it was kind of, the people said, "Oh, he's more Japanese than German." And I said, "How can you say that? I don't speak any word." Well, a couple of words Japanese, but I don't speak the language. And I said, "Because you're listening." And actually, I think this is something cultural diplomacy has a lot to do with. Listen to people, try to understand them, and not give messages. Most of the people like to give messages, especially when they are in foreign countries. They are kind of unsecure situation, yeah, and kind of a natural reaction on that is apparently that people try to say, okay, I'm not as weak as I might be looked at, you know, and I think this is wrong. And so cultural diplomacy is a lot in being curious and listening, take that. Don't take everything for sure. Maybe somebody has at his height, he wants to give you a picture more than in letting you know what he's really about. But as I said, to put it in one nutshell, cultural diplomacy is to learn to listen.
I agree.
In
Japan, did that involve karaoke at all?
No, not really.
No?
No, I tried to, but I must say I was more forced to do than I did that deliberately.
Yeah.
I liked kind of social events. So I remember when we had a big event that I was as a vice president, I was put on the stage and I had big drums, you know, and we did this drumming and saying whoa and drumming and whoa, and everybody was actually. And after this kind of event and everybody was happy and giving, we had sushi, etc., etc. Then my secretary said, "Dr. Gambke, you're apparently very tired." Oh, so not really. After 5 minutes, she said, "Oh, you had such a long journey to come here. You are tired." And I found out they wanted me to leave because normally Japanese would not allow you to look in a situation where they possibly get a bit drunk. They're, you know, they are losing kind of their the structure they have. And I said, okay, I'm tired, I go. And I asked afterwards, and they said, and then we had a real another. So they don't want to share everything with you, and I think this is perfect. And karaoke is kind of a thing where you keep your distance, you know, and then therefore I was never really interested in that. No.
Oh, I would like to sing karaoke with you.
I'm playing the guitar, so I used to when I was younger to sing songs, etc., but karaoke is not my type.
Okay, that's one of my I guess stereotypes of doing business in Japan.
Yeah.
It's good that I learned it's not so true. The next question I have is about the EU being an institution that's supposed to be social and ecological sustainability.
Yeah.
And about development, maintaining all these standards. The question would be, what channels do you think can be used to ensure that all the member states are applying standards and adhering to them?
Good question, because as I said in my keynote a couple of minutes ago, I think still the most most of the people, if they think of ecological sustainability, they think in cost, and not in revenue and actually a reward of being sustainable. Therefore, I think it is still that they need good examples. I have put a couple of examples. The best, actually, I lost a bit in my keynote is I visited a company who is doing cleaning, professional cleaning for toilets, etc. You know, what is it? The towels. You know, and this laundry, professional laundry, doesn't use water. You would say, is it possible? A laundry with not using any water? They have completely a circulation of water, because he found out he can take out all the detergents and whatever they need. They would not need any clean water anymore. I mean, once in a while, I guess. But a laundry without using water, to have a complete recycling. He said, I reduced my cost and I'm using less money for fresh water than my competition. So I think most of the people think that kind of sustainability is costly, is expensive, and they don't, and most of the times because they have a very short perspective. You need sometimes 5 years, you need 10 years, you might even need 15 years to get to the stage where you have the return of your investment. But after 15 years, you have that. You know? And this is something, I think, which is definitely in a world where we seem to have the opposite in having shorter cycling times. And everybody believes, if I cannot sell you the next smartphone within the next 4 weeks, you know, I am out of the business. And this kind of philosophy is wrong. And I think it will be difficult to convince others to do so. But as I said just a couple of minutes ago, I think the success of Germany should be some example to say, okay, we might follow them.
Yeah, I think Germany's looked at very progressively, at least in America. We think of you as being somewhat ahead of us in the greening of the economy, for sure.
Regarding Germany, in your opinion, is the German education system adapted to fit the social and ecological transformations of society as you stated them? And what should be done in order to improve it?
The educational system in Germany you refer to. I think what is missing actually in Germany is kind of more closeness to real life, so to speak. What I'm missing, my children, when I lived in America, went to school in the US, and I think what I liked in the US had been how did they call it? They had a one day a week where they had been just out. They visited a shop. They visited what kind of
field trips?
Field trips. That's the word I was missing. Field trips. Yeah. And I think this is missing in Germany, kind of be more open, and not with the idea at the end. You know, you have 15 bullet points, what you learn, and just let them look at things. And I think this is kind of missing in Germany. Field trips is a very good word. I will try to remember.
I would like to know what kind of ecological programs does the German government support on the level of local communities? And could you maybe tell us something about the e-forest project?
The what?
E-forest project.
E-forest. I'm afraid I could not answer that because I don't know the e-forest program.
Okay,
but your question is about what
ecological program, yeah.
on the local.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of things can be done. It is necessary. However, and I refer to the other questions and answers, is that especially on the level of the communities where most of the investment decisions are being made, in terms of buying a bus for transportation and buying things for public buildings, for schools, for whatever needs to be invested, is to look more, as I said, on a long-term perspective. Actually, I'm preparing right now a bill for the Parliament and demanding, I think we come up with 8%, allowing a higher price of whatever we buy as a service, as hardware, whatever that is, a higher price if a certain certificate can be given in terms of sustainable production of this service. Give you an example. A community has the waste transportation, Müllabfuhr. I don't know whether waste transportation would be a good word for that. And today it's just the price which counts. And there is then an offer of a company who has, say, wages of below 8 Deutschmarks or even 6 Deutschmarks. They have cars which are not matching with the last Euro norms of exhaust, etc., etc. The price and the service, say an item which most people do not look at is the service level. Yeah? Maybe it's a Portuguese company, and what are you doing in Landshut at the Monday morning? The truck is not coming. Are you calling Lisbon and saying we have a problem because you guys are not coming? So service level is something which has to be looked at. I think on the level of the purchasing power, which is huge, of far more than at the federal level, at the Bundes level, even more than on the Landes level, on the country level, the community has the highest purchasing power. A lot of things can be done. And the other thing, of course, would be education. As I said, not only the field trip, but to have that as in the curriculum has that it's needed, and not by kind of say read the Bible, but by the practical doings.
What alternative solutions do you see in order to fix the problem of the energy dependency of Germany?
Go into renewables, very easy. I mean, I'm coming out of Lower Bavaria. We produce now 43% by renewables, and very close to Landshut is a community called Furt, headed by a major from the Green Party, of course. They are at 74%. And again, he introduced that program in 1998. And a very long-term program, a very prosperous community, because they do not spend any more money for buying oil, or just a small part of money. So I think it is possible. Definitely we need a lot of steps, and I don't want to go into details of what we call Energiewende, the change of the energy production, but it's absolutely possible to do so. By the way, and the money is there. As it was said, I founded a cooperative of energy, and the people came to me, the citizens came to me, where can I give you 500 Deutschmarks? Okay, and they came at the fence of my house and said, here are 500 Deutschmarks, invest. Because they say, and we need, in total, the 1 billion would be just 10% of our savings, of our money savings, not included real estate, not included any shares in companies, just our say volatile savings. We need 10%. And the word is we better invest in our energy than in shares of funny companies where we never know whether we get our money back. And with energy we do so. So I think the money is there. What we have to do it decentralized. Very important. I do not believe that 4 companies can control that. They can control their own profits, but not the Energiewende. do it decentralized, and then I think we can show. And look, just one last example. If you see Burghausen, you won't know Burghausen. Burghausen is a small town at the border to Austria. 18,000 inhabitants, very small. Yeah. It has the energy consumption of Frankfurt. Why? Why? Of Frankfurt. Why? Because they have a big it's called the chemistry triangle. It's actually big companies like Wacker Chemie, who are doing all the photocells, are located there, and other Höchst and other companies are located there. So big energy consumption. And even this big energy consumption, they put together, or Munich did the same, and they said, we want to change completely to sustainable energies, which definitely cannot produce nearby. They have to invest in an offshore wind park in the North Sea. They invested in other ways to produce that, but they organized that by themselves. I think it is very important that we create a structure where it's possible that communities, companies can invest and can run their programs by themselves, which is possible.
Thank you for your time, sir. It was an honor having you here with us.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Action.